Hello student, welcome to the second unit of the course Analog and Digital Electronics, Design of Sequential Circuits. In the first unit, we have to study the design of combinational circuits. In the second unit, Design of Sequential Circuits syllabus, we are divided into 6 modules, and in today's lectures, we started the first module, Introductions to Sequential Circuits. As we have to already studied the combinational circuits in previous unit, combinational circuit is a circuit whose output is only depends on the present input. Means the output is only respond to the present input. For examples, adder 1 is added with the 0, we are getting the output as a 1. Whereas sequential circuits, the output is depends on the present input as well as the past or previous output. Means the output is generated not only the present input but also the past or previous output which is stored in the memory. So that is another one difference between the combinational and sequential circuit is that the combinational circuit do not have a memory, but the sequential circuit required a memory in order to store the past or previous output. For examples, sequential circuit counter counting is like that. It can be added a 1 to the previous output. We are taking examples. If we are counting a 5 is nothing but the previous output 4 and we are adding the 1, so we are getting a 5 as an output. Where similarly for the if we are counting up to the 4, so the previous output 3 and we are adding the present input as a 1, so finally we are getting the 4 as an output. So this is the sequential circuit. Combination circuits only having inputs, and for that corresponding inputs it can be generated the output. But in case of sequential circuits, you have seen that the output is generated as well as it can be memorized and it can be feeding back to the input. So the sequential circuit is a circuit which can be respond to the present input as well as previous or past output, and accordingly it can be generate the fresh present output. Now, how the memory can be worked? The memory we are going to be utilized in case of sequential circuit as a flip-flop or the one bit latch or bit memory cell. So the one bit memory cells we have to study it here. We call it as the cross-coupled inverter as a memory elements. It's have a capability to store a single digits, binary digits, 0 either 1. Let's assume the input of S is the 0. So both the input of the NAND gate is becomes to be a 0 and hence it can be generated the Q as a 1. Now it's a cross coupled, so Q is connected to the input of the second NAND gate. So that's why the NAND gate second NAND gate input is becomes to be a 1, and for that both input 1 the second NAND gate generates the Q complement output as a 0. Now this Q complement is again crossly coupled to the input of the S of the first NAND gate input. So the first NAND gate input both is continuously 0 0, and again it can be generated the 1, and this 1 is feeding to the input of the second NAND gate and it's again generate the output as a 0. So this cycle is continuously running, and it can be stored or it can be stable the output Q as a 1 and Q bar as a 0. So we call this memory bit cell store the 1. This is also called as latch because the cross coupled inverter capable of locking the informations, and locking the information or storing the information we call it as the latching the information or latch the information. We call it as the one bit memory latch. The one of the drawback of this latch is that it's only store either 0 or either 1, and once it can be stored the 1 we are not able to change it to the 0 or so on. So that's why that is only the disadvantage, and these disadvantages we are overcome by modifying the circuits. And this is the modified circuit of this latch. We call it as the SR latch. Okay. uh, the another one pair of the first and second NAND gate is added with this 1 bit memory latch. Let's assume that the previous output Q value is the 1 and Q complement is the 0, and let's assume that the present input S value is the 0 and R value is the 0. Because of this sequential circuits, it's responding to the previous output and the present input, and that's why we are assuming here the previous output is the 1 0 and the present input 0 0 we are applying. And let's see how it can be responding to us. For S is the 0, so both input of the first NAND gate is 0 and it can be generate the 1 as the output, which is connected to the input of the third NAND gate. So similarly, for the R is equal to 0, the second NAND gate produces the 1. So the input of the fourth NAND gate is becomes to be a 1. Now let's see the value of Q complement is a 0 and the third NAND gate input is available now 1 and 0. Accordingly, it can be respond and it can generate a Q value again to be a 1. So Q is crossly coupled to the input of the fourth NAND gate, and right now the fourth NAND gate input 1 and 1 is available, so that's why the output of the fourth NAND gate is the 0. It can be generated. So this condition, when the Q is equal to 1 or Q bar is equal to 0, we call it as a no change or set conditions. Why we call it as a no change? Because previously we have to assume the previous output as a Q is equal to 1, Q complement as a 0, and after the processing, after the working of this SR latch, the output is not going to be changes. Why? Because we are applying the input as a 0 0. Now let's move to the another case. Let's again assume to be a previous output Q is equal to 1 and Q complement as a 0, and now in case of the input we are now applying the S is equal to 0 and R is equal to 1. So when the R is equal to 1, the second NAND gate activate triggered firstly and it can be generate the output as a 0. So the one of the input of the fourth NAND gate is becomes to be a 0, and another one input from the Q is already 1. So 1 dot 0 we are getting the Q complement as a 1. Now this Q complement is crossly coupled and connected to the input of the third NAND gate, and for the S is equal to 0, the first NAND gate generates output as a 1, which is connected to the input of the third NAND gate. So the third NAND gate input side, the 1 input from the first NAND gate and the 1 input from the Q complement is available. So 1 dot 1 we are getting the output Q as a 0. So in this way you have to see that, so previously output Q value is the 1, Q complement value is the 0, and if we apply the present input S is equal to 0, R is equal to 1, then it can be changing the output from 1 to 0 in case of Q and 0 to 1 in case of Q complements. We call this condition when the Q value is the 0 and the Q complement value is a 1 as a reset output condition. Now let's move to the another case. S value is the 1, R value is the 0, irrespective of the previous output. Any output you have to assume. So when the S is the 1, it first NAND gate generates the output as a 0, and irrespective of the Q complement value, if any one input of the NAND gate is 0, it can generate the output as a 1. So the value of Q is now 1. So this Q is crossly coupled and connected to the input of the fourth NAND gate. Now the R is becomes to be a 0, so that's why the second NAND gate generating the output as a 1. So the fourth NAND gate input right now available 1 1, so the Q complements is generated as a 0. And this condition, when the output Q is equals to 1 and Q complements is equals to 0, we call this condition as a set output conditions. So we are getting the output as a set output when the value of input S is equal to 1 and R is equal to 0. Let's move to the another case. Irrespective of the any previous output, we are assuming here S is equal to 1, R is equal to 1, and for that the first NAND gate generates a 0 output. Similarly, irrespective of the any other input, the third NAND gate generates the 1 as output because the NAND gate is present here. So that Q is crossly coupled and connected to the input of the fourth NAND gate, and the another one input generated by the second NAND gate is 0 because the value of R is the 1. So the both input is becomes to be a 1. So 1 dot 1, we are getting the NAND gate as output 0. So the fourth NAND gate, two input is available 1 and 0. So it can be generated against to be a 1. So here it can be clearly seen that if the Q is 1, so Q complement is required to be a 0. So this is the invalid condition. Q and Q bar are never equals to each other. So this is the invalid condition when both the input of SR latch is same, is nothing but 1 1. So from these four conditions we are making a table like that. The value of SR when we are applying 0 0, the output is not going to be changes. So we call it as no change output. In case of when the S value is 0 and R is 1, that times we are getting the output as a reset. In case of the third condition, when the S is equal to 1, R is equal to 0, we are getting the as a set condition, set state. But when in the lastly we have seen S and R is equal to 1, we have to apply the SR large produces a invalid output, that is nothing but Q is equals to the Q complement, which is not acceptable in case of logic. This is the symbols, logical symbols for the SR latch. S and R is there, Q and Q complements output present, input and output are showing there. Disadvantage of SR latch is that when the S and R is equals to 0, the output is not going to be changes. And another one disadvantage is nothing but when S and R value is 1, then that times it produces the invalid logical output. Now let's move to the triggering methods. There are the two types of triggering methods is available, which is depending upon on which portion of the clock signals the latch or flip-flop is responding, nothing but activated or triggering. On which portion of the clock signal the flip-flop is activated, accordingly it can be classified the level triggering or edge triggering, because in a single pulse having a levels as well as the edge. If the clock at leveling activate the flip-flops, we call it as level triggering, and if the clock activate the flip-flop on the edges, then we call it as the edge triggering. Let's move or see level triggering. There are two types of level triggering because the two types of levels is available in a single pulse. Let's see here, this is the higher level and this one is the low level is available. When the clock is triggered as higher level and your flip-flop is enabled, then we call it as the high level triggering signal. If the flip-flop is activated when the low level triggering is applied, then we call it as the low level triggering methods. Edge triggering, there are two edges, rising edge and falling edge. In other words, we call it as the positive edge and negative edge also, or we call it as the rising or falling edge. When the flip-flops is triggered during this positive rising edge, that times we call it as the positive edge triggering flip-flops, and when the flip-flop is triggered as a falling edge, that is a negative edge, then that flip-flops we call it as the negative edge triggering flip-flops. So it depends on which portions of the clock pulse the flip-flop is activated, and accordingly we are going to utilize these four triggering methods. We also call it as the positive level triggering, negative level triggering, high or low level triggering also in case of level triggering. In case of edge triggering, we call it as the positive edge, negative edge, or rising edge, falling edge triggering. Now here the triggering methods we have to shown, and whenever the triggering or the clock is available, it's a clock sensitive and it can generate the output only and only when the clock is present. So controlled outputs, we are getting the functionality here whenever the gated SR latch we are going to be utilized. So here it can be clearly shown in this table. C is nothing but the clock when the clock is upside, and this is the positive edge triggering. So without clock the output is no change, nothing but irrespective of the value of S, irrespective of the input value of R, the output is going to be not change because your clock is upside. Your output is giving the no change, reset state, set state, or invalid state, as we have studied in previous slide. The SR latch only and only when the clock is present. When the clock is activated, only and only it is responding for 0 0 no change, 0 1 for the reset, and it's 1 0 it can be producing the output as a set, and for the S and R is equal to 1 it produces undefined and nothing but the invalid output, but only whenever the clock is present. So that's why the clock play a very important role in order to active or deactivate these flip-flops. So these are the logical symbol for this gate SR latch. And one of the disadvantages of the SR latch is that when the SR value is 0 or SR value is the 1, the output is not changed, and in case of SR is equal to 1, the output is showing the invalid. That is the only the drawback of this SR latch or SR flip-flops, and this drawback is overcome by the further D flip-flops, T flip-flops, and JK flip-flops. These are the SR flip-flops. This can be showing the edge. Whenever the edge triggering we are utilize, this upper arrow is indicating the positive edge or rising edge, or downward arrow is indicating the falling edge or the negative edge. This is the positive edge triggering, so that's why only for the upper arrow it can generate the output no change, reset, or set invalid. Otherwise for lower value or higher level or lower level, irrespective of the any value, any input value, your output is not going to be changes. So that is only shown here in this of SR flip-flops. The flip-flops can be utilized as the memory elements, and it's also as a delay elements. Flip-flops is utilized to making the counters and timers. We have to see in next proceeding slide how the counters is works and how the flip-flops we are going to utilize in the counters. Flip-flops is utilized to eliminate the keyboard debouncing, and in case of register we are also utilize the flip-flops. So these two terms, register and counters, we have to see in next proceeding slides. Now the difference between synchronous and asynchronous sequential circuit. Synchronous, asynchronous sequential circuits. Here it can be giving a difference. The synchronous circuits is easy to design, whereas asynchronous sequential circuit is quite difficult to design. In case of synchronous circuits, the clock flip-flops is act as a memory elements, and in case of asynchronous, unclock means without clock, flip-flop is used as a memory elements. Sequential circuits is slower because we are going to be utilize the clock flip-flop, whereas the asynchronous sequential circuit is faster because the clocks is not present, and the process or working of the flip-flop is not waiting for the presence of the clock or not waiting for the clock. Synchronous sequential circuit, the status of the memory element is affected only at the active age of the clock, and if the input is changes means due to the clock utilized in the synchronous sequential circuits, the status of memory is affected. Much more depends on the presence of clock, absence of clock. But in case of asynchronous sequential circuit, there is no clock, so that's why the status of memory elements will change anytime as soon as the input is going to be changes. So these are the difference between the synchronous sequential circuits and asynchronous sequential circuits. And this is all about for this first model. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any query, you have to ask me on my Gmail, my official mail, and my WhatsApp contact. Thanks for watching this video.